we're officially on to Week 15.
Sam Darnold, Steve Wilkes, and the Carolina Panthers have their first road win in 13 months.
Unfortunately, last week was a tough one for the TPSers, who posted an 8-5 record for the week. Meanwhile, our experts finished 9-4. Now, don't hang your heads, because you guys did nail it with your dog of the week, which means that a prize is going out this week. Just one prize, because our block of the week crushed, and we bested you with our picks, but nevertheless, TPS bucks have been earned. And this week's winner is Shadow Walker TV, who just barely missed an exact score on the Bucks-Niners game with their 33-7 prediction. As for the rest of you, there's always next week. If you want to be our next lucky winner, just make sure that you, number 1, are subscribed to our channel. Number 2, like this video. Number 3, comment below with one exact score prediction and why you chose it. 'Tis the season to be giving, and there's nothing we want more than to give away some TPS bucks. So get those predictions in, subscribe, share, hit that like button, and make it happen. Now, without further ado, let's get into these games, beginning with a key divisional battle on Thursday night. San Francisco 49ers versus Seattle Seahawks. The San Francisco 49ers are headed to Seattle, fresh off a shellacking of Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks, with their eyes set on locking up the NFC West, which a win over the struggling Seahawks would effectively do. And both the TPS fans and experts think that the 49ers will have what it takes to get the job done. The loss of Deebo Samuel, who went out with an injury against Tampa Bay, will definitely hurt, but the Niners should still have more than enough firepower on the offensive side of the ball to get the job done, especially when you consider the insane level that the San Fran defense has been playing at under the leadership of D'Amico Ryans. Geno Smith has been great this year, but this may be a task too tall to tackle. Final prediction, San Francisco wins this one 20-14 and all but claims the NFC West crown. Indianapolis Colts versus Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are hosting the Colts this week, looking for a bounce-back win after falling to the Detroit Lions in Week 14. The fans are back in the 10-3 Vikes, who have essentially had the NFC North locked up for a month and a half at this point. But our experts aren't buying into the hype. Countless stats have been thrown around this season about how thin of a margin the Vikings' wins have been by, and it looks like their chickens are finally coming home to roost. The bend not break defense looks wary and breakable, and this game has all the makings of a Jonathan Taylor explosion. The Colts are coming off a bye, so his legs should be fresh, and that mini defense looks primed to get gashed. Colts are going to take this one by a final score of 24-21. Baltimore Ravens versus Cleveland Browns. The Ravens are headed to Cleveland with a major question mark at the most important position in the game. Lamar Jackson has effectively been ruled out, and with Taylor Huntley suffering a concussion after a brutal helmet-to-helmet hit during their Week 14 matchup with the Steelers, there is serious reason to doubt his availability for this week's game. But that doesn't seem to be deterring the TPS fans, who are picking Baltimore to knock off Cleveland on the road. Which, yeah, I guess there's some logic to. I mean, Deshaun Watson has not looked good since his return, and the Ravens defense has really taken its play up to another level as of late. And that running game looked fierce last week, even with Anthony Brown under center. Now, that being said, we have our doubts that they can get enough offense going over the course of a full game. So we're predicting Cleveland edges out Baltimore in an ugly, old-school AFC North slugfest, 14-9. Miami Dolphins versus Buffalo Bills. Miami needs a win in a big way this week after back-to-back embarrassing losses to the 49ers and the Chargers. And unfortunately, they're headed to one tough place to get it, Buffalo. Which perhaps unsurprisingly has teed us up for another consensus pick that, the Bills are gonna win this one. Not only should they have a huge home field advantage, hosting a warm weather team like the Dolphins in the frigid western New York temperatures, but they also still have a guy by the name of Josh Allen, who seems to be recovering nicely from the elbow injury that plagued him during the middle of the season. Look for the Hawaiian-born Tua to struggle in the cold weather, and Buffalo to emerge victorious by a final score of 28-17. Philadelphia Eagles versus Chicago Bears. Lock of the week. Next up, our lock of the week, which, no shocker here, is another consensus pick, even with the favorite on the road. Philly has looked like a juggernaut all season long, and with Chicago having sold off its defensive parts for draft capital, they expect the Eagles to have their way on offense. The Bears are coming off a bye, which means that Justin Fields could be fully recovered from his shoulder injury, but that probably won't matter against a pretty stingy Philly defense. Our final prediction: Eagles 33, Bears 7. Detroit Lions versus New York Jets. Seemingly the hottest team in the NFL right now, the Detroit Lions are headed out to the Meadowlands to square off with the New York Jets. Now, New York is coming off a hard-fought road loss against the AFC East leading Buffalo Bills, and they're hoping to keep their postseason hopes alive behind the reemergence of last year's one-hit wonder, Mike White. The fans think that Jared Goff will lead the Lions' high-flying offense to a victory over a stingy Jets D. But you know what? Our experts don't really agree. The Jets defense just held the Bills to 20 points, with little support from its offense, which toggled back and forth between an injured White and Joe Flacco. With a week of rest, White should be back in form, and the Jets will take this one by a final score of 23-20. Pittsburgh Steelers versus Carolina Panthers. This one should prove to be one of the most boring games of the week, hands down. The fans are for some reason backing a Steelers team that just lost to a Ravens team that was down to their third option at quarterback. Meanwhile, the Panthers have somehow clawed their way back into contention in a pitiful NFC South with interim head coach Steve Wilkes, and now Sam Darnold under center. Well, we personally think that the carrot dangling in front of them is going to be enough to get the Panthers over the hump in what will undoubtedly be a horrible game to watch. Final score: Panthers 13, Steelers 10. Kansas City Chiefs versus Houston Texans. And Chiefs at Texans has all the makings of a complete blowout. Nearly 95% of the voters in the TPS community think that the Chiefs are gonna take this one. And yeah, we definitely agree. Patrick Mahomes' steady output of gaudy numbers and ridiculous plays reminds us that we've taken his greatness for granted a bit in the past couple of seasons. You know, with the emergence of Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. Houston, on the other hand, has been consistently one of the worst teams all season, and their quarterbacking situation is about as desperate as it gets. Chiefs go up big early and then shift into cruise control, taking this one by a final of 35-14. Atlanta Falcons versus New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are playing host this weekend to the Atlanta Falcons in what promises to be an oh-so-forgettable NFC South showdown. The Falcons are still in the playoff picture at 5-8, all because of how bad the South is this year. I mean, New Orleans, who the TPSers are picking in this one, aren't even technically dead at 4-9. That being said, we're picking the Falcons in this one to break their cold streak, having lost 4 of 5 coming off the bye. Look for the team to be fired up to have a new face at quarterback, as Atlanta is now starting Desmond Ridder. The Falcons rally around their rookie and take this one by a final score of 17-13. Dallas Cowboys at Jacksonville Jaguars. The Dallas Cowboys are headed to Duval to face off with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who've quietly started playing some solid football. Though neither the TPS fans nor experts think that they've got much of a shot against Jerry's squad. Dallas's defense has been playing an extremely high level of football, and that should give Trevor Lawrence fits. Final prediction: Dallas 27, Jacksonville 14. Arizona Cardinals versus Denver Broncos. Here's a battle between two teams whose seasons have long been in ruins. 86% of the fans voted that Arizona will win, but with Kyler Murray done for the season, we're inclined to lean Denver, despite the many reasons that the Broncos have given us not to back them all year long. But maybe, just maybe, they learned something about themselves as a unit during that surge against Kansas City. Doesn't feel good, but we're picking Denver 20-16. New England Patriots versus Las Vegas Raiders. Fresh off their Monday Night Football win against the Cardinals, the Patriots sit at 7-6 and are back in the AFC playoff picture. And they're now off to Sin City to square off with the Raiders. Lucky for them, they have the support of the TPS fans, who think that New England will use the lowly Raiders as fodder for a playoff push. But you know, having watched the Pats flounder all year long, we think that this is an obvious letdown spot. So we're going to be predicting that the Raiders steal this one 26-23. Tennessee Titans versus Los Angeles Chargers. The Tennessee Titans are headed west to face off with the Los Angeles Chargers in a battle between two teams who are hoping to make some noise in January. The fans are buying into the Titans despite their recent struggles, but after watching them get throttled by the Jaguars last week, I really don't know how you can have any confidence in this team. Conversely, the Chargers are finally starting to get some guys back from injuries, and they just beat a very solid Dolphins team on Sunday Night Football. Justin Herbert will find a way to get it done in a game that the Chargers need more than the Titans do, and he'll deliver a big win for their postseason bid. Final score, Chargers 31, Titans 27. Cincinnati Bengals versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cincinnati at Tampa Bay. This one might get ugly for Tom Brady's Buccaneers, according to the TPS fans and experts, who are in alignment on this pick. And yeah, with pretty good reason. Tampa Bay has not looked good all season long. And now they might be motivated coming off that beatdown they just received at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers. The fact of the matter is, well, this is not a good football team. This is going to be an easy one for Joe Burrow and the gang, who are starting to really hit their stride. Perfect time of the year too, I might add. Cincy rolls in this one, 30-17. New York Giants versus Washington Commanders. Drum roll, please. It's time for the TPS Dog of the Week. The New York Giants on the road against the Washington Commanders in a matchup of two teams that are very much trending in the opposite direction. The fans are taking the Giants in this one despite their recent struggles. New York will need a big performance out of Daniel Jones to alleviate the pressure that's been building on Saquon Barkley, as teams continue to key in on him more and more each week. But you know what? We like Washington in this one. And Taylor Heineke has the kind of gusto you need to gut out evenly matched divisional games. Final score, Washington 14, New York 13. Los Angeles Rams versus Green Bay Packers. Man, did putting these two teams on primetime seem like a way better idea before the season started. The fans think that Rodgers will get the job done at home, but we have the feeling that there's a little more Mayfield magic in store. Rams are going to take this one in dramatic fashion, 21-20. And there you have it. Those are ours and your picks for Week 15. Who's going to be the winners? Well, we'll find out soon enough. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, then add your own prediction down below for a chance to win some awesome prizes. And be sure to vote on next week's games right now in our community section. Then tune in next week to see if you won.